Hello BookTube, welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and we are just skipping along through May. This is my week 4 wrap-up for middle grade May Reads Readathon, and my own challenge to read a book a day in May. Today, while I'm filming this, it's about noon on Saturday, May 27th, and I have finished 26 books so far for the month of May. I believe I filmed my last video on the 18th, and at that point I had read 18 books. So in this video, I'd like to tell you about books 19 through 26. Now, I would have filmed this video on Friday and made it a Friday Reads, but yesterday I was still in the middle of 3 books that I needed to finish, and I knew I could finish, but I didn't get the third one done until late in the evening. So at that point it was too late to film, and I just decided I would just film it today while I have good daytime lighting. And I have already started my 27th book and have several other books picked out to finish out the month. So first let me tell you about the books I've already finished, and then I'll tell you about the books that I'm going to be reading on through the end of the month. Let me just get this chunker out of the way. I'm happy to report that I have finished my one adult book that I've been reading this month. It is The Land of Painted Caves by Jean M. Auel, the 6th and last book in the Earth Children series. I probably will do maybe a series wrap-up and review of this series now that I'm done with it. So I won't say much about it here, except that I am very, very happy to be done with this book and this series. All right, now several of these books I had already started at the point I filmed my last video. So I finished everything that I had started and read a couple of others. I finished the last book in the Wolves of the Beyond series called Star Wolf. This has really been a good week for finishing series. So I was really excited to finish this series. I thought it was a good conclusion to the series. It all kind of came full circle. And again, I may do a series review video of this series as well. And then speaking of finishing series, I just finished this one up yesterday. This is Vespers Rising. It's the 11th book in the original 39 Clues series. It was one that I didn't know about until recently. I had already read the first 2 of the next 39 Clues series, which is Cahill's versus Vespers, when I found out that this book even existed. It's actually a 4-part book, and 3 parts are prequel origin stories of some of the older characters from the 39 Clues. And then the 4th part is kind of a segue of Amy and Dan Cahill, who are the main characters of the 39 Clues. It's kind of just a little segue story that takes us from the conclusion of the original 39 Clues books and segues us into the Cahills versus Vespers. So I decided now that I have this backstory, I'm going to go ahead and reread the first 2 of the Cahills versus Vespers series. Now, I had listened to those on audio, and I was already planning to listen to or read the second one again because the library copy that I had a lot of skips in it, so I didn't even really get the full story. So now that I've read this, I'm just going to go ahead and read the first 2 again, and before I continue on with any more in the series. Here's another series book that I finished. This was the very last one I finished last night. This is the 2nd book in the Crispin trilogy by Auel. This one is Crispin at the Edge of the World, and I really enjoyed this. This one didn't get a lot of love on Goodreads. The reviews were kind of low for this, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good book. You know, maybe not as compelling and exciting as the first book, which was great. Crispin the Cross of Lead is the first book, and it was a Newbery winner, and it's a fantastic book. So I'm pretty sure this is a trilogy, and I don't think there's going to be any more. So I've just got one left to read, and I may decide to just go ahead and read that 3rd book this year because I really did enjoy getting back into this world. It's medieval England. This particular book is very character driven, which is a good thing because the characters are very likable, and I enjoyed the book mainly because of the characters. Oh, I'm happy that I got this one read. And then a couple of other books on my Newbery list. I reread Out of the Dust by Hesse. And this book is set in Dust Bowl, Oklahoma in the 30s. And I had read this before, but I had forgotten really how wonderful it is. It's just very gritty, it's compelling, it's sad, but it's just a great book. Now, if you don't know, I am originally from Oklahoma. This takes place in western Oklahoma in the Panhandle, and I am from the southeast part of the state, so it's quite a bit different. You know, the terrain is quite a bit different. The main character of this book is 14 years old in 1934. My mother turned 10 years old in 1934. My father turned 12 in 1934, and both lived in Oklahoma. So they would have been able to identify, I think, a lot with this character. I don't think they got as much of the dust in their part of Oklahoma as the main character in this book, but still I'm sure that they were very aware, and the times were tough. I mean, it was in the middle of the Depression, and I know that the time and place where they grew up was really rough. So I really enjoyed reading this for that reason. It kind of helped me to see into that time a little bit, and that time and place, and I just really enjoyed it. It's a heartbreaking book, but it's just very, very good. And if you've never read it, it is written in verse, so it is very quick to read, and it's just a wonderful, fantastic book, certainly deserving of the Newbery Award. And this one is a Newbery Honor book. In fact, that's the reason I found it. I was looking at the Newbery books from the 90s, and I found this one, and it was very short, and so I picked it up. This is Afternoon of the Elves by Janet Taylor Lisle. I didn't know if it was going to be magical, about real elves, or if that was just a metaphor for something. And I'm not going to tell you either, because through most of the book you really don't know. This book is really much better to just go in blind. It's about two girls who live next door to each other, and they are from very different circumstances, and they are able to form a friendship because of something that's happening in their backyard. So I don't want to say any more than that. It's just really a good book. If you enjoy reading middle grade books, then this is one that I think you ought to pick up. It's from the 90s, so it might be kind of hard to find, but it's well worth the effort. It's very short. It's only about 120 pages, and it's definitely worth picking up. I also read one on my Kindle that is one of our Sunshine State books for 2017-2018. It's called The Girl in the Well Is Me by Karen Rivers, and I really enjoyed this book. It gave me a lot of anxiety because it's about a girl who has fallen in a well. She was being dared to stand on top of this platform by these kind of mean girls. She wanted to be in on their club, and they told her she had to stand on this platform and sing. Well, the platform broke, and she fell straight down into a deep well and couldn't get out. And it's a great story. It's completely told from her perspective down in the well. And when I first started reading it, I thought I was going to have too much anxiety to get through it. But then I found that I couldn't put it down. I just wanted to read it. I wanted to keep reading it. I was so angry with the girls whose fault it was that she was there, and how they initially handled it was ridiculous. But who knows? Maybe this type of situation could really play out the way it did. I don't know. But I thought it was a really compelling book, and I would definitely recommend it. I'm excited that it's on our Sunshine State list for the coming year. I'm kind of sad that Katie is going to be in high school now, and she's not going to be as motivated to read the middle school books, but I'm still going to suggest that she read it because I think she would enjoy it. So I read it through Hoopla on ebook on my Kindle, and I really enjoyed it. And then one other book that I finished finally is the first book in the Darkest Rising sequence, Over Sea, Under Stone by Susan Cooper. I had read this before. I primarily listened to it on audio in my car last year sometime, and I had a hard time following it on audio. And I promised Jen from Today in Jen's Library that I would start naming the narrators, so I will have to look up who actually narrated the version that I listened to last year. But this year, I just read it in print. I read it in this big giant bind-up, which I don't like. I've discovered I really don't like reading bind-ups. I didn't like carrying this around, and I think that's why I had such a hard time getting it read, because it was so much easier to pick up a smaller book, or pick up my phone or my Kindle, than to pick up this big giant book. Now I have ordered a single copy of the second book, The Darkest Rising, that I can hopefully get pretty soon from the library, so that I can go ahead and read the second book this week. So I did enjoy the first book. I enjoyed it the first time. I just didn't pick up on all the little details. So now, by reading it fully in print, I didn't even skip over and read it fast. I just read it from front to, from the beginning to end, and I understand it a lot more now, I think. It was kind of a tricky story to follow, because there's kind of, good versus evil, and I didn't really know exactly how all the characters came into play. Now I understand it a lot better, and I'm going to be able to go on now and read some more of the series and be a lot more grounded in what's happening. So I'm looking forward to reading some more of this. I would still like to finish this whole 5-book series by the end of the year, but by the end of the month I want to at least read the second book, which is The Vespers Rising. So that's everything I finished this past week. So including today, we've got 5 more days in May. And so I will do one more wrap up for May and tell you what I end up reading in the last 5 days of May. One book that I'm definitely reading, because I already read about the first 40 pages of it this morning, is Among the Barrens by Margaret Peterson Haddix. This is book 4 in the Shadow Children series, and I really do like this series. It's pretty dark. In fact, Margaret Peterson Haddix is not afraid to kill off characters. I have read other books by her, and she does that. So don't think that, oh, because it's a middle grade book, nobody's going to die. She can write some very dark books. And this one has a very interesting dynamic, because our main character, Luke, who is a 3rd child and is in hiding, he's currently at a school which is a kind of a secret school, and it's primarily made up of students who are 3rd children, and they all have secret identities. In other words, they have taken on identities of other kids who were legitimate first or second children that maybe have died young, and their parents have donated their identity on the black market to allow kids who are 3rd children to come out of hiding and assume these identities. So he has the identity of someone named Lee Grant, who was killed in a skiing accident. Well, so now in this book, Lee Grant's younger brother has come to attend this school, and you know, he kind of freaks out at first because he doesn't know how to react. He doesn't know if this younger brother is going to rat him out and say, that's not my brother, or if he's going to pretend that he is in fact his brother. You know, he doesn't really know what's going to happen. So it's really good so far. A few other books I want to read. I already mentioned that I'm going to read the second book in this bind-up, The Vespers Rising. I'm still wanting to read The Junkyard Dog by Erica Tamar. My sister got this book for Katie quite a while ago, and she never read it, so I decided that I would read it, and it looks like it's really cute. My sister said she read it before she sent it to Katie, and she really enjoyed it too. This one is the longest one of what I have left to read, so I may skip it in lieu of a shorter one, but I have been wanting to read another book in this series. It's from the Gaither Sisters series by Rita Williams Garcia. It's the second book, called PSB 11. It is a Coretta Scott King honor book, and the first one I really enjoyed, and so I am looking forward to reading the second one. But now I'm starting to worry that I'm not going to fit it in, so I don't know. I'm still leaving it in the pile. We'll see. I definitely can't read it all in one day. It is almost 300 pages, so I may just try to read a little bit each day and see if I can finish it by the end of the month. I don't know. We'll see. And if I need a really short, quick book to finish up so that I, make sure that I finish my book a day in May, then I went and got this off of Katie's shelf. This is Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Cabin Fever. It's the 6th book in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series by Jeff Kinney. I love the series. It's so much fun. I really want to read the whole series at some point. So if I need another quick book, then I will pick this one up. So those are the print books that I have lined up to read. I realized yesterday that I had finished all of the middle grade audiobooks that I had lined up to read in May. And you know me, I can't go without some audiobooks. I have to be listening to something in the car and while I'm doing housework and things like that. So I started searching around, and I discovered that there is a Newbery winner that I've been interested in rereading that is available on audio through Overdrive, and it's The View from Saturday by E.L. Konigsberg. Now, E.L. Konigsberg has 2 Newbery winners, and this is one of them. I have listened to this on audio before, and I don't remember a whole lot about it, and so I'd be willing to listen to it again. I've also got it in print here, and so that's one possibility for an audiobook to finish out the month. And also, since I just finished book 11 in the 39 Clues series, it leads into the Cahill's versus Vespers series, which is a spin-off series of the 39 Clues, and I discovered that all 6 of those books are available on Hoopla. I have the first 4 in print, and I had already decided that I wanted to reread these first 2, so I have already borrowed these and downloaded them onto my phone and Kindle. So these are going to be my primary audiobooks to finish out the month. Neither of them are very long. One of them is 4 hours and one of them is 5 hours. So I may still have time to get these read and go on and listen to this one as well. So we'll see. And if I get all 3 of those read and I still have time, then I can always borrow the 3rd book because, like I said, they're all available on Hoopla. So the first one is The Medusa Plot. It is by Gordon Corman. And then the second one is A King's Ransom by Jude Watson. So that is what I have read this past week for Middle Grade May Reads Readathon and what I am reading for the rest of the month. So now we've got 5 days left in the month, and I showed you about 9 books. Tried to narrow it down a little bit, and I just couldn't. So we'll just see how much I get read. If I don't get them all read, that's fine. I just like to have extras. I don't like to run out of anything to read, but I don't expect to get all of these read by the end of the month. If I can, I would like to, but we'll just see. I'm still on track to finish my challenge to read a book a day in May, and I'm excited about that. So let's hope I can continue on and finish out that goal. And then in June, I'm going to be reading only big books. I've got several books that are 400 pages or more that I have lined up to listen to and read. So I will let you know pretty soon what my specific TBR is for June. So that's all I have for this video. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.